So after my friends ask me, so what is a futurist? Because they always like raise their eyebrows. Next question I get asked is, so what does a futurist do? Now that's also a very good question, because futurists can do so many different things. In the larger world where you see people with the brand name futurists, they tend to be speakers. They're doing, keynote presentations at conferences. They're writing books. The most famous people, like Toffler wrote about the future. So people largely see futurists as people who are writing about the future. But some futurists could be considered science fiction writers. There's some futurists that are doing research. A lot of the research coming out of the National Intelligence Council, for example, are done by people who would consider themselves futurists. We have people here at the World Future Society who are futurists who are doing research among global intelligence, the state of the future. We have futurists who are working in government, who are concerned about what does a country look like in the future. We have futurists who are doing research at the industry level. In the recent years, you've seen a lot of strategic foresight work, and some people call futures research also strategic foresight. We've seen a lot of strategic foresight research coming out of the global institutions, out of the OECD, about the futures of food, the future of water, the future of energy, and this is critical work. So a large body of work on futures, the strategic foresight, is research. But there are people who are in the futurist community who are doing, I would say, a next generation research, not the global big picture thinking, but next generation research, which is about industries, looking at the future, let's say, of the energy industry, or the future of the water boots industry, or the future of the publishing industry, the newspaper industry. Again, it's research, but the research in this case is targeted towards looking at how do futurists help inform industry sectors about how their industry might emerge. And therefore, these people who are doing the futures work are often part of a strategic planning team, helping the industry think about how that industry might emerge. Now, this is very interesting if you think about it, because for an industry to say employ a futurist to look at the industry, when within the industry they're actually competing for market share, shows how much the study of the future needs this sort of a wisdom of the collective group. No one company will have a total handle of the future. So this is why you see many industry groups having this sort of a far-out research, which tends to be 15, 20, 25 years out, being done in a collective sense. Especially in a sense, an age where we're talking about mass consumerization, mass production. When you're producing a widget A that has to speak to a widget B, then you want to make sure that this is done in such a way that the parts can, speak to each other. Hence, you have a lot of industry futures research, industry strategic foresight research. And then there are obviously companies that do foresight and futures work, and in this case, most companies call it foresight, strategic foresight, because futures might sound too woozy, for their members to manage. So people tend to call it at that level strategic foresight. So these companies would bring a futurist in or a strategic foresight analyst in to do research about the sector and that particular company's future or that particular organizational future. And so, you find then that companies tend to be mid-sized to larger companies that can afford this. Oil companies, food companies, consumer marketing companies, especially, we bring a futurist in to look at some of the shifts in maybe the consumer marketplace, shifts in the technological marketplace, to have people help them figure out where do they want to go and how will they manage the future that they are entering.